A country has a budget deficit, or simply deficit, when it spends more than it receives from taxes and other forms of revenue. The same way, we say it has a budget surplus if it quote-unquote saves money, or when expenses are lower than government revenue. You usually hear deficits being presented as a percentage of a country's gross domestic product, and the values seem pretty low. Unfortunately, that's quite misleading because, as explained in another video, the GDP is what we all accomplish together as participants in the economy, whereas government revenue is just a percentage of that. To simplify, we'll assume the GDP of a country is $100 billion and that the revenue it actually collects is $25 billion, so 25% of the GDP. Next, let's say the deficit for that year was 4% of the country's GDP, which doesn't sound high if you put it like that. However, it looks worse if you compare it to the government revenue value. A deficit of $4 billion means that $25 billion were collected but $29 spent. In other words, that a country spent 16% more than it collected, which doesn't exactly sound sustainable, especially since that money has to usually be borrowed, thereby increasing the national debt. Deficit spending is one of the most politically charged topics in economics, and while we don't yet know for sure whether it's good, bad, or somewhere in between, this video helps you properly understand the terminology so that you can be an informed observer in political economic debates.